I'm Jarrett Carpenter, and this is Future Signal. Let's dive right in and talk about how to buy a home for $41,000 with Bitcoin. As always, this is not financial advice. This is edu-tainment. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, check out the episode description. You want to watch this on YouTube. We've got some good visuals. When you start to think in Bitcoin, everything changes. There's an asterisk there. We will get to what we're going to touch upon this later. Bitcoin is demonetizing real estate. I hear that a lot, and this episode kind of breaks down what that is. Maybe you've heard that before. Oh, Bitcoin is demonetizing real estate. This episode breaks down exactly what that means. Now, I created these data points a couple days ago on July 25th, 2025. I know that today is August 5th when this was going to go out. The current price of Bitcoin is around 114,000, so we're a little bit off of 118,000. Directionally, this is okay. As you can see there, on the screen, on July 25th, 2020, Bitcoin was at $9,710. At the time that Bitcoin was at $9,710 in July of 2020, the average single family home in the United States was $350,000. In other words, to buy a $350,000 home, you needed 36 Bitcoin, okay? Today, or more recently, about a week ago, on 7/25/2025, the single-family home had gone up from the $350 all the way to $417,000. And one Bitcoin at this time is around $118,000. Like I said, I know today it's $114,000. It could be $118 tomorrow, okay? Let's just run with that. Single-family home, now, even though the price has increased by $67,000 from $350 all the way to $417,000, now you only need 3.53 Bitcoin to be able to buy that single family home. The trend is your friend. Let's look at the trend. Let's look at the numbers. That means over this period of time, from July 2020 to July 2025, the price of a home has appreciated by 20%. It's gone from $350,000 all the way up to $417,000. It's increased by $67,000. That's great. If you're a homeowner, that's a good thing. The price of Bitcoin has gone from $9,710 all the way up to around $118,000. This is essentially up by, as you can see here on the screen, plus 1,115%. Let's continue with the trend as your friend. In other words, even though the price of a single family home has gone up by 20% over that time, you used to need 36 Bitcoin to buy a single family home. Now you need 3.53 Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin terms, the BTC required to buy an average home fell 90% over 5 years, which is roughly negative 37% annual decline in BTC per home. With an annual decline of negative 37% in BTC, right? When you think in BTC, things are different. We can extrapolate that by 7/25/30 in 5 years, essentially in 5 years from this summer, from 7/25/2025, you will need roughly 0.35 Bitcoin, or it could be enough to buy the average single family home in the US. To give you a visual idea, this is what this looks like. A home used to be 36 Bitcoin in 2020. In 2025 today, you can get it for around 3.53 Bitcoin. But by 7/25/30, or in 5 years, you may only need 0.35 Bitcoin. I think this is the best visual maybe I've ever created on the podcast because it's just so stunning. 36 to 3.53 to 0.35. I tweeted this. I'll leave this tweet below in the description, but basically 36 Bitcoin could buy the average home in 2020. Now you need 3.53. In the future, maybe you only need 0.35 if the trend continues, right? This is visually everything you need to see. I don't think that there's anything more you need to see if you're thinking about looking at the value of a home versus the value of Bitcoin and what's going to happen over time. In BTC, US homes are getting cheaper. In dollars, they're getting more expensive. Super, super simple. When you start to think in Bitcoin, everything changes. And what I mean by everything changes, I should say everything becomes cheaper. Not everything changes, because in BTC, US homes are getting cheaper, but in dollars, they're getting more expensive, right? They went from $350,000 all the way to $417,000. But in Bitcoin, we went from 36 Bitcoin to 3.53 Bitcoin. Kind of crazy. So yes, Bitcoin is demonetizing real estate. Hopefully this episode allows you to understand what this means. And if someone says, hey, what does that mean? Send them this episode, please. So today you can buy 0.35 Bitcoin for around $41,000. Hence the name of this episode, why you can buy a house, a single family home for $41,000. A little misleading, but if you put 0.35 today and you put it aside and say, yep, there's my house. It was only $41,000 and I'm going to buy it in 5 years. There it is for you. And I know that that sounds crazy, but if that sounds crazy, imagine telling someone in 2020 that by 2025, you would only need 3.5 Bitcoin to buy the average single family home. When in 2020, when you would tell them that, you would need 36 Bitcoin. Things are getting crazy. How does this impact the way you were thinking about Bitcoin and real estate, that relationship? I'm constantly fascinated by this. We have many people who are renting, like myself, intentionally stacking Bitcoin, knowing that, if we can get to the 0.35 Bitcoin, maybe then that's worth a home. And maybe buying a home today isn't as valuable, because really buying a home is not an investment. It's a lifestyle choice. If you want to learn more about that, I'm going to leave a link above. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Please follow us on socials at Future Signal XYZ. Subscribe. You're watching this on YouTube. It would mean a lot. Subscribe. You're listening to this on a podcast platform, or you're listening on Spotify. And if you hear someone say this, Bitcoin is monetizing real estate, and they ask, what does that mean? Send them this episode, because this is the craziest visual I think I've ever made on Future Signal on this podcast. 36, 3.5 to maybe 0.35 Bitcoin will buy you a single family home. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much, and I will see you guys next time.